Hello everyone, welcome to my Game Week 11 early info video. There's a ton of things to look back at from Game Week 10. Potential injuries to Palmer, Rodgers and Konate, Solanke hauling and Son getting subbed early, surprise rotation for Manchester City. In this video, I'll dissect it all and discuss how it can affect our decisions in Game Week 11. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Now let's get into it. So there was big news for FPL managers from the Manchester United versus Chelsea match on Sunday. Lisandro Martinez' really poor challenge late in the game saw his studs catch Cole Palmer on the knee. Palmer did manage to walk off the pitch himself, but Chelsea manager Enzo Marescas told us he was in the changing room with ice on his knee after the game, and we now know he is going for a scan on it to determine the extent of the damage. Martinez escaped a red card for the challenge, much to the annoyance of Maresca, who also said he remains hopeful the injury is nothing important. So there is optimism from Chelsea that he will be available in Game Week 11. Obviously, that's what owners will want to hear, but it's not certain that's the case yet. We'd expect to get his results of his scan this week. And hopefully, they'll give us a clear information if he'll miss any matches, and if so, how many. If it's unclear, then Game Week 11 at home to Arsenal isn't a great game for Palmer in itself anyway. If we're unsure whether he'll be fit, I certainly wouldn't be looking to bring him in if I didn't own him. If he does make that game, we probably haven't missed a big haul, and we know he's then fine for Chelsea's great fixture run starting in Game Week 12. If he's not in the squad, then the international break begins for 2 weeks straight after. That's a lot of time for information to be revealed to us. Maybe Palmer still goes away with England for the international break. That's a pretty sure sign it's a minor injury. And obviously, we have the press conferences in the build-up to Game Week 12 too. There's plenty of time for the information to come out, and it's definitely not the time to be making an early move regarding him. Now, that's the same for managers who already own him. With Chelsea playing Leicester and Southampton in Game Weeks 12 and 14, we don't want to be taking him out of our squad if he's available for them. It doesn't matter too much if he misses the Arsenal game. If he's back after the international break, there's no way we should sell him. We'd instantly want him back. If we discover the injury will keep him out of some of Chelsea's better fixtures, then obviously at his price, we'll have to look at transferring him out. That's too much money to have sitting on the bench waiting for him to recover. The important thing is, in all scenarios, whether you're looking to buy him or worried you might have to sell him, don't rush into it. Wait to hear the results of the scan. Wait to find out for sure if he's going to miss any matches. Even if that means you don't own him for the Arsenal match in Game Week 11, or as an owner, you end up having to keep him on the bench because he's not playing that game. The other news for Chelsea was Reece James capturing the team and playing the full 90 minutes again, especially after seeing Gusto and Cucurella both only getting 45 minutes each. Now, James did play pretty deep though, not in an attacking fullback or wingback position that we've seen before for Chelsea. For me, that means we shouldn't consider him or either of the other two for Chelsea's great run of fixtures. No guarantee of minutes or lack of attacking threat means none of them are great options for us. And to be honest, despite Chelsea looking good going forward this match, they still allowed United plenty of chances on goal, with them registering 1.9 expected goals during the 90 minutes. It's definitely better to target Chelsea's attackers than their defence. So Nicholas Jackson, who's made the number 9 position his own in the Premier League this season, is one of those great options. But he did pick up his 4th yellow card of the season against Manchester United. One more, and he misses the game through suspension. That's annoying, and it will probably happen sooner rather than later. It wasn't his greatest game against United, but he is having a very good season with 6 goals and 3 assists already. Unless he gets booked against Arsenal in Game Week 11, meaning he'd missed the Game Week 12 game against Leicester, he's a top transfer in for Game Week 12. He's someone I definitely would want to own in that case. If the yellow card does come against Arsenal, then clearly we avoid him for a week or maybe 2. He'd then be a great option again in Game Week 14 away to Southampton, and for Chelsea's great fixture run which follows until at least Game Week 22 and probably further. For Manchester United, following on from his bracing the cup in midweek, Fernandes got his first league goal of the season. He calmly dispatched a penalty in the 70th minute. United have 3 lovely fixtures now, at home to Leicester, away to Ipswich, and then at home to Everton. It's a short run, but a brilliant one. Tricky to go full in on United unless you're on a wild card this week or are planning to use one in Game Week 14, but bringing in one of their forwards for a few weeks is definitely something I'd totally recommend. Fernandes has been points dodging all season and was well overdue some attacking returns. There's every chance he'd get a lot of points over the next 3 weeks. He's so involved in all of United's attacking moves, I can't even see the arrival of Ruben Amorim affecting his minutes either. He's just integral to this team. He's the captain, he's on penalties. I'm definitely going to get him. Another big game on the FPL front was Spurs home to Aston Villa. After 3 weeks without a goal, and with very few chances coming his way, Solanke was heavily transferred out before game week 10, and he really punished those who'd sold him. Basically, everything suddenly went right for him, as a delightful finish gave him his first goal, swiftly followed by a simple chance for his second. James Maddison then cut in a wonderful free kick after Solanke was fouled, so he got an assist there too, and 3 bonus points as well to make him the highest scoring player in the entire week. With Ipswich at home in game week 11, he now looks a wonderful asset and possibly even a captaincy option. It's a shame he's got City the week afterwards, although they're really struggling defensively at the moment, and maybe Solanke can do well against them too. If I had to pick between him and Jackson in game week 12 though, it would be Jackson every time, away at Leicester, and as a Solanke owner, I'm very much thinking about moving him to Jackson that week. We also saw Son getting an early substitution around the 55-minute mark. He got a lovely assist for Brennan Johnson's goal before that, which really started the Spurs' comeback, and we may have been a little surprised to see him being taken off so early. However, Ange Postecoglou told us after the game he always intended to take Son off at that point. It was pre-planned and irrelevant of how the game was going. Due to him only just coming back from injury, it makes a lot of sense, I guess. So there's nothing to worry about for next week, and we can expect his minutes to increase against Ipswich. He looks like it could also be a very good captaincy option in game week 11. We also saw a possible injury to Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa in this game. He scored again for Villa, but was replaced on 68 minutes after picking up a knock. We could see he clearly wanted to continue despite being taken off, and that looks pretty promising regarding him being available in game week 11. However, I imagine most managers would be looking to bench him in that week anyway, as he's playing away at Liverpool. So, if he doesn't make the Villa team this week, it's probably not a disaster. As such, I wouldn't look to move him straight out unless we hear it's actually a long-term injury. He's got 3 weeks until game week 12 at home to Crystal Palace, which is plenty of time to recover from anything minor, and Villa have a decent fixture run between game weeks 12 and 16, so we'd want to keep him. He's another player not to make any early transfers on, in or out this week. Erling Haaland had his 4th blank in 5 weeks away to Bournemouth in the City team, who played about as poorly as I've seen them do in a long time. Haaland still should have found the net after another week of wasteful finishing, with Foden owners once again missing out on assist points too. He's a really popular transfer out already this week, and I can't say I blame owners. I've activated my wildcard this week, and I'm pretty sure he won't be in the team when it's set next Saturday morning. I don't think the goal drought will continue. He's still a massive threat in the box, but with cheaper forwards having great fixtures, and the premium midfielders too, altering your team structure this week or next looks like a sensible move. Son this week and Palmer and Salah in game week 12 have much better fixtures than him, so that's where I'll be looking. There were a few surprises on the City team sheet in game week 10 as well. Kyle Walker made a surprise early return from injury at right back, with Rico Lewis getting a rest, which in fairness Guardiola told us he was well overdue. He still raves about Lewis though, and I don't think his minutes are particularly at risk going forwards. I'm more concerned about City's clean sheet potential than his lack of game time. We also saw De Bruyne and Doku back on the bench for City, despite Guardiola suggesting to us that they weren't fit. It's pretty clear now they'll be available again at least after the international break, which significantly increases City's midfield options. That doesn't put me off owning Foden though, as he's looked to be one of the best standout attackers for City in recent weeks. But with City's fixture run being a little less appealing after Southampton and Bournemouth, I wouldn't look to bring him in if I didn't already own him. I am still confident in him starting the game against Brighton game week 11 though. Bournemouth thoroughly deserved the win over City. They outplayed and outbattled them. Semenyo in particular was superb throughout and well deserving of his goal. At 5.6 million, he has a great fixture run now until game week 20 and looks a wonderful value pick who plays 90 minutes pretty much every week. If Morgan Rogers does turn out to have an injury, for example, Semenyo is certainly a player you can turn to with confidence. It finished Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0 after a very flat performance from Arsenal at St James's Park. Alexander Isak's brilliant early header after a delicious cross from Anthony Gordon was the only goal of the game. Declan Rice missed a great chance from a fantastic Saka cross at injury time to equalise, But Newcastle defended brilliantly throughout and thoroughly deserved the win. Arsenal were just very sluggish all game. Even the usually consistent Saka couldn't get them to raise their level, as he failed to get a shot on goal despite playing the whole 90 minutes. The only classic Saka moment was actually going down with an injury, before recovering suddenly to finish the match as usual. Hall and Livramento were particularly good in the fullback positions for Newcastle. Hall seems to have made the left-back spot his own permanently now, with Lloyd Kelly barely getting a look in. And the Newcastle fixtures are just starting to look good again at this point. With your usual suspects, Isak and Gordon, plus now Lewis Hall, looking very promising for that run. As for Arsenal, they just can't keep the ball out of their net at the moment, and if they can't swiftly improve in attacking areas, the title might be out of reach sooner rather than later. Funnily enough though, despite the lack of clean sheets, their defensive numbers have actually been improving recently. Newcastle created only 0.53 expected goals, and Liverpool only 0.85 expected goals the week before. Now they're both good attacking teams. You've really got to imagine that the clean sheets are probably not far from returning for Arsenal. There's been a lot of transfers out from the Arsenal backline recently due to the annoyance that them always conceding, and I can totally understand that irritation, but if I was a Gabriel, Saliba or Raya owner, looking at the data, I'd really want to hold on to them. Chelsea is tough in week 11, but it's a very nice run defensively for Arsenal after that. Personally, I'm actually looking to invest there on my wildcard. I can see plenty of clean sheets in the near future and stretching into the distance too. Double Arsenal defence looks very nice to me. If I have the funds, I might even consider tripling up as an option. I'm feeling far more convinced about them at the back than going forward at the moment. After a poor start, Liverpool came back to win 2-1 at Anfield against Brighton. Salah and Gakpo got on the score sheet, and despite Luis Diaz's great start to the season, it does seem that Gakpo has stolen a march on him for the left wing position recently. I'm not convinced he's nailed there yet though. Diaz has shown too much to be left out completely, but it's certainly Gakpo who's getting the game time at the moment, and he's taking his chances, so I expect him to start the next one too. Salah continues to look great, what more can you say? FPL points continue to come along at a pace for him, and he's on track to have his best ever season at this rate. Ibrahima Konate, who's been a rock at the back with Van Dijk, was taken off with what appeared at first to be a nasty arm injury. Fortunately, we already know there wasn't a break, as Konate himself took to social media to confirm he'd be ready for the next match in game week 12. I wish we'd get this kind of info from every player. There's also a player for Liverpool that's suddenly become interesting as a possible FPL option. Tsimikas got the nod over Andrew Robertson against Brighton and looked very good on his recall to the first team. We had an indication this might happen after Robertson played in midweek in a mostly second-string team for Liverpool. It seems quite possible that Tsimikas might now be on for a little run in the team. There could be some rotation between the two during December, when league games are coming thick and fast, but at 4.6 million, Tsimikas really is a cheap way into that Liverpool defence, and we know how good that defence is. He could be particularly nice if he gets the nod for the match against Southampton away in game week 12. I'm definitely toying with him as a huge differential for my wildcard team, but he could become a great enabler for any FPL manager. Around the rest of the league, Forest continue to look strong, although West Ham didn't put up much of a fight this week. They barely got a sniff of the Forest goal before or after the red card for Ederson Alvarez. Chris Wood scored again, but the nice Forest fixture run is behind us now. Yes, Ipswich at home in game week 13 is great, but surrounded by Newcastle, Arsenal, City, United and Villa, it's a really poor run, and I definitely wouldn't be looking to bring him in. The same goes for the Forest defence at this point. They've been brilliant this season. Statistically, only Liverpool have been better, but I can't see many clean sheets in the next 6. Probably just Ipswich, and that's not enough. Players like Aina are cheap enough to keep and bench, but if I had the transfers available, I'd be looking elsewhere. Southampton got their first win of the season at home to Everton, but can consider themselves very fortunate. Everton created by far the better chances, hitting the bar and having a goal chalked off to an incredibly tight offside decision. Calvert-Lewin, who's now blanked 6 times in a row, got hooked after only an hour, and with Beto looking more threatening after he came on than Calvert-Lewin has recently, he really must feel like he must be getting a start soon. So, if Calvert-Lewin is now a minute's risk too, and having failed to score against all 3 promoted teams in the last 6 weeks, it's really time to move him on. If you can get to Cunha, Strand Larsen or Højlund, that's exactly what I'd be doing. Cunha assisted Strand Larsen for his goal in the 2-2 draw with Palace. Aitnori blanked this week, but still he got in some great attacking areas. They remain the 3 players to look at if you're wanting to invest in Wolves' great fixture run, which starts this week at home to Southampton. Defensively, they still look pretty poor though. Palace created 2.51 expected goals and would have been really disappointed not to take the victory. But Wolves had their attacking threat too, countering particularly well, and I can see them scoring plenty of goals over the next 7 weeks, even if they can't keep the ball out of their own net. I'm pretty sure Aitnori and Cunha or Strand Larsen will make it into my wildcard team this week. That's all for now. I hope you found the video helpful, and as always, please do hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and see you for the next one.